Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'll be breaking down all the Easter eggs, references, and things that you may have missed watching the Mortal Kombat 2021 reboot. The beginning sequence takes place in the 17th century at the home of Hanzo Hasashi, better known as the character Scorpion. Now, there is no doubt that Scorpion is the most popular character from the game, as he has made more appearances than any other. It is believed that the character is named after Hattori Hanzo, who was a famous samurai that lived in Japan in the 16th century and whose nickname was the Demon. We see him living with his wife, son, and daughter until they are brutally attacked by a member of the Lin Kuei clan, Bi-Han. Scorpion's origin story is very similar in the games, although he's shown to only have a son and wife, and both are killed by Bi-Han, who is actually being manipulated by an evil character named Quan Chi. The clan that Scorpion is aligned with, the Shirai Ryu, are ancient enemies of the Lin Kuei, and we see this to be true in the movie as well. In the games, Scorpion is resurrected much like he is in the movie to kill Bi-Han, which he does in the tournament featured in the first Mortal Kombat game, and who then is also resurrected as the character Noob Saibot. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, I know Sub-Zero is in more than just the first game, you are right, but the character under the blue mask is Bi-Han's younger brother, Kuai Liang, who is shown to be not as outright evil as his older brother, and wears the Sub-Zero moniker to honor him. We also see the origin of the signature weapon used by Scorpion, a small blade attached to a rope known as a kunai. These were used as gardening and masonry tools by peasants, and I thought showing that the blade was used by his family added some interesting background to this iconic weapon. In the ensuing battle between Hanzo and members of the Lin Kuei, we see many of the vintage Scorpion maneuvers from the game's history, something that the movie allows each character to display. The two actors playing these characters were perfectly cast, with Hiroki Sanada playing a deadly yet sympathetic version of Scorpion, and Joe Taslim playing just an all-out evil force of nature in Sub-Zero. I remember Hiroki Sanada from the movie The Last Samurai, but he has also starred in many big projects like Westworld, The Wolverine, Avengers Endgame, and will also be in the upcoming Army of the Dead Zack Snyder zombie film. Taslim is an Indonesian actor who I remember as the alien Manus in Star Trek Beyond, but he is also known for his performances in the movies The Raid, Fast and the Furious 6, and the series Warrior. Taslim was the first actor cast for the film, showing how important his role is, and even given the ending, I do not believe this is the last film we have seen either character in, if more films in the series are made. After Hanzo is killed, he is taken to Netherrealm, which is basically a hell dimension, and one of the, I believe, 7 realms in the Mortal Kombat universe. This type of reincarnation is based on the Chinese belief that a warrior with unfinished business can and will come back to life to stalk and kill their murderer. Throughout the history of the game, there have been many realms that have merged, and time travel has affected some backstories, but I believe that there are currently 7 realms, and those are Earthrealm, Netherrealm, Outworld, Order Realm, Chaos Realm, Dream Realm, and Heaven. Raiden, the god of thunder and also the protector of Earthrealm, arrives to save the last member of the Hasashi bloodline. He is played by Tanabu Asano, who I always remember from Battleship for some reason, but he is also known for his role in the first 3 Thor movies as Hogun, as well as many other films. Mortal Kombat has various elder gods and lower gods, and Raiden has been both, but he is most commonly shown as being a mentor to the fighters of Earthrealm, and even though he's not supposed to interfere, he is responsible for a lot of the biggest moments in the game's history. His legend is based around a Taoist thunder god, while his design is actually based on the lightning character from the movie Big Trouble in Little China. After the intro, we meet Cole Young, who is a brand new fighter created for this movie. Fans of the games, like me, always look forward to new characters when the new games come out, so adding one for a new movie makes a lot of sense. The man who offers him the fight calls him a human punching bag, and ironically enough, this comes into play later in the movie when his superpower is discovered. I thought it was kind of funny that his daughter kept yelling, "Throw the uppercut," as I remember from my days of playing the game at arcades, hearing helpful onlookers shout out moves as I was playing. Next, we are shown Outworld, and more specifically Shang Tsung's palace, which also appeared heavily in the game Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and we first see the character Shang Tsung. He is one of the most popular antagonists in the game, and was the main one in the very first arcade game. He fights for Outworld, but is actually from Earthrealm, having been corrupted by a demon so that each person he defeats, he is able to steal their soul. Not only does this grant him longer life, but it rejuvenates his appearance and allows him to gain the knowledge of his victims. He is played by actor Chin Han, who you may remember as the guy the Joker set on fire on top of a big pile of money in the movie The Dark Knight. After Cole Young's match, he talks to his daughter, who creates 2 bracelets made out of the hand wraps that Young wore in his fight, showing the importance of his family and the development of his character. We are then introduced to Jax Briggs, who has a slightly different backstory in the games, as Sub-Zero was not responsible for him losing his arms, a character named Ermac was. He is played by Supergirl actor Mehcad Brooks, and the fact that he does not start with his cybernetic appendages may actually be a reference to the game, as he did not have them in his first appearance in Mortal Kombat 2. When he meets Cole, Jax states that Cole took the belt from a fighter named Eddie Tobias. This is actually an amalgam of the names of the creators of the Mortal Kombat game, Ed Boon and John Tobias. Cole shows Jax a tattoo of a dragon that is also the logo of the game franchise. Cole Young is played by actor Louis Tan and is known for his roles in the Iron Fist, Into the Badlands, and Deadpool 2. While Jax is looking for Sub-Zero, there is graffiti on the wall that has an arrow down, arrow forward, and the letters LP, which stand for low punch, and this references Sub-Zero's ice attack in the game. Before Jax loses his arms to Sub-Zero, he fires a blast from a shotgun and Sub-Zero freezes it, which is very similar to a scene in the 1995 movie in which that Sub-Zero did the same to a bullet from Sonya Blade. After Jax loses his arms to Sub-Zero, but is able to get Cole Young and his family to safety, we are introduced to Molina on the wastelands of Outworld. Molina is played by Australian actress Sissy Springer, and in the games is a partial clone of another in-game character, Princess Katana. She has a very distinct look, and while this was not adopted completely for the movie, I think the character does resemble the original quite a bit. They come upon a huge statue of the character Goro, who we see later in the film and is the Outworld's current champion. Shang Tsung also references the character Syzoth, better known as Reptile, who ends up resembling his animal-like version from the game Deadly Alliance, and not his initial version, which was similar to a green color-swapped version of Sub-Zero and Scorpion. He is sent after Cole, who has found Sonya Blade in Gary, Indiana. Her trailer is filled with details about the tournaments, including a drawing of the character Nightwolf, as well as a bronze bust of the character Kotal Khan. After Sonya gives Cole and the audience a quick background into the story of the games, we meet the mercenary Kano, played by another Australian actor, Josh Lawson. His character in the game is pretty similar to the version we see on screen, although the damage to his eye and subsequent ability to shoot a laser from it is caused by an injury from Jax. In the games, he is also the head of the Black Dragon crime syndicate on Earthrealm, and eventually double-crosses enough people to be a general in Shang Tsung's army. When Reptile attacks the group, we see the character use abilities that he was shown to have in the game, which include turning himself invisible, using his tongue to capture and throw his opponents, as well as being able to spit acid. He is ultimately defeated with a fatality from Kano, who does the same move he used as his fatality in his appearance in the first game, as well as utter the words Kano wins, which are similar to what the player hears after each match. As they travel to Raiden's temple, they meet Liu Kang, a Shaolin monk from the Order of Light and usually the protagonist in the game. He won the tournament shown in the first Mortal Kombat arcade game and stopped Shang Tsung and his armies from invading Earthrealm by defeating him and all his minions. He is played by actor Ludi Lin, who is most known for his role as the Black Power Ranger and the new series Kung Fu. When they enter the Temple of the Order of Light, they see many paintings in what look like ice. The first is of the great Kung Lao defeating Shang Tsung over 500 years before the events of this film. The next painting is of the characters Argus, Dahlia, and Taven, who are all characters that were featured in the game Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The next one, which is one that Kano says speaks to him, is of Goro defeating the great Kung Lao using one of his fatalities from the game. Then we see one of Shao Kahn, who is another long-standing antagonist, having first appeared as the main bad guy in Mortal Kombat 2. We also see one depicting the battle between Hanzo and Bi-Han that we witnessed earlier in the film. As they walk further into the temple, we see a trophy room that contains one of the blue fans of the character Katana, as well as a very important relic from the games, the Amulet of Chinook. After a not-so-great pep talk from Raiden, they are attacked by Sub-Zero and we get our first look at the character Kung Lao, who saves Liu Kang by jumping out from under his iconic hat, a move he also does in the game. Another awesome callback is when Shang Tsung enters the temple, he says, "Their souls are mine," which is a callback to the well-known phrase that originated from Kari Hiroki Tagawa in the original film. After Raiden arrives, he uses his staff to protect the group, and we see a statue of him facing off with the character Fujin, who is his brother in the game. After they leave, Kano continues on about his powers and states they are like a box of chocolates and you never know what you're going to get, a line said by Forrest Gump. We then get to know more about Kung Lao, who is played by accomplished stuntman Max Huang and is one of my favorite characters from the game. I thought the movie did an amazing job with this character's design, and my only complaint is how his story turned out, but I do understand why it had to happen, and I think that it will be a catalyst for a sequel, which I will get into later. Liu Kang explains that the Mortal Kombat champion's powers are tied to something called an Arcana, which is a new concept for the film, and is what gives each champion a special ability, like being able to shoot fireballs or ice blasts. He also has them fight in an area he calls the Fight Pit, and the pit is actually the name of many locations used in the early Mortal Kombat games. In fact, another thing I loved about this movie is how each location they fought at actually looks like a fighting arena that could have been in the game. The fighting styles of the fighters are also obviously greatly influenced by their characters, as many of the moves Kung Lao displays against Cole Young are straight from the game. I also thought it was funny when Liu Kang faces Kano, he continually trips him, as this was actually something players were known to do to other less experienced players in the arcade game. After Kano discovers his superpower over dinner and Cole is sent home by Raiden, we venture back to Outworld and meet Riko, Cabal, and Natara. I love the designs of these characters as well, even if Natara does not look like her counterpart as much as the others do, but she looks to be a vampire-like creature with large wings as she is in the game. Riko is a general in the bad guys' armies and also carries a similar weapon in the game, and is played by Nathan Jones in the film, who you may remember from his role in Troy, but also appeared in Mad Max Fury Road and Conan the Barbarian. Cabal looks fantastic with a lot of intricate design, as you can even see that his skin is burned underneath his outfit. He was played by a stuntman, but voiced by actor Damon Harriman, who played Charles Manson in both the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the series Mindhunter. In their side conversation, we hear that they were both members of the Black Dragon crime syndicate, which also matches up with both characters' past from the game. Cabal is shown to be on the side of good and evil, but in the film he looks like he has completely broke bad. After Kano formally switches sides and allows the fighters from Outworld to cross over to Earthrealm, we finally see Prince Goro in his totality after a few glimpses throughout the film. What an improvement from the last live-action version on film, as the first try in the original Mortal Kombat looked like a Jim Henson creation gone horribly wrong. Goro is also from Outworld and is a member of the Shao Kahn race, who are half-human, half-dragon warriors. He appeared as a sub-boss in the first Mortal Kombat game and has been in many games since. As he fights Cole Young on Earthrealm, back at the temple we hear Shang Tsung yell "Finish him," another infamous phrase that has been used throughout the history of the game as the fighters battle. As Cabal fights Liu Kang, we see him use a raging flash move from the game, which is when he is shown to be able to quickly run from place to place. Molina is also able to use some of the same movements as her character does in the game, for instance when she licks Sonya's blood off her side. Speaking of moves from the game, Kung Lao pulls off one of the best moves in the movie when he does one of his fatalities known as the hat split on Natara and then references his flawless victory. As Cole Young fights Goro, he finally discovers his arcana, and armor grows around his body that seems to be able to absorb kinetic energy and repurpose it for him to use. If you notice, the armor is created from the bracelet that his daughter made for him earlier in the film. He also gets his very own fatality and totally destroys Goro. Unfortunately, back at the temple, Kung Lao saves Cole Young from an ice shard from Sub-Zero, but is caught by Shang Tsung, who does his own fatality, which is removing the soul of his opponent. If you listen closely, you can hear the words "Your soul is mine," which is a direct reference to the line by the original live-action Shang Tsung. The surviving champions of Earthrealm are transported by Raiden to a place called the Void, which is also from the game's history and is where the Elder Gods live. In the movie, though, it is a place between Earthrealm and Heaven in which the forces of Outworld cannot invade. There we see Liu Kang take a red band from Kung Lao's hat and use it as a headband, which may be a callback to the fact that he did not wear his signature headband in the first game, but was shown with it thereafter. The death of Kung Lao at the hands of Shang Tsung also sets up the bitter rivalry between him and Liu Kang that is prevalent in the games and will no doubt be expanded upon in later film. After Cole Young sets the game plan, Raiden transport Riko and Jax to face each other in a setting that looks very much like Pit 2 from the Mortal Kombat games. We then see what I believe is Shao Kahn's fortress, which is recognizable by the huge statue of Shao Kahn. Molina also uses her teleporting power from the games in her fight, and we see that she has pink and purple energy that she was shown to use in the game as well. Jax does very well in his fight against Riko and executes one of his fatalities known as the head clap that obliterates his opponent's head. As Kano and Sonya fight, you can hear a version of the popular theme song from the original movie, and this pops up a few more times before the end of the film. There she throws a bottle of acetone at Kano's eye, which at high temperatures can become super glue, and that is basically what hit Kano in the face and makes it so he cannot use his laser beam. She is able to defeat him and gain her ticket for the tournament with the passing of the symbol, another setup for a possible sequel. During Liu Kang's fight with Cabal, he displays his popular bicycle kick move from the games, as well as a version of the Dragon Bite fatality. Just as Molina is about to take a bite out of Cole Young, Sonya Blade arrives and shoots pink energy blasts from her wrist, which she also is able to do in most of the game. We then get an epic fight between Cole Young and Sub-Zero, and then Scorpion, in which we hear the most famous line from Mortal Kombat, "Get over here." Throughout the fight, we also get moves from the game, such as the Ice Wall from Sub-Zero, one of my favorites. We also see Sub-Zero create a copy of himself made of ice and create various ice projectiles, which he was also able to do in the games. If you notice throughout the fight, Sub-Zero seems to lose his blue shaded armor and is just left with a black outfit by the end of the fight. This may be a hint that in future films, he'll return as the character Noob Saibot, and there will be a future version of Sub-Zero as well. Another one of my favorite moments is that when Scorpion defeats Sub-Zero, he uses his Demon Breath fatality, which has been always used in some variation since the very first game. Finally, as the movie ends, we see that Cole Young has been tasked with finding a fighter in Hollywood, which is no doubt the character Johnny Cage, who is ironically the only character from the original 1992 arcade game not featured in this movie, especially since his character is an actor. Well, that was everything I noticed, but if you saw anything else, let me know in the comments. Thank you for clicking on this video. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed it and subscribe for future videos like this one, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?